Okay, we're back again. Having some weird connection problems today. Weird. Anyway. Still working on a transfer vehicle. Some kind of transfer vehicle. If I did this, this would be up at 20 tons. It'd be a little heavy. But, that's true. If I launch it, I only really need to launch it from here. Aha. So, there's gonna be some fun lopsidedness. Yes, it probably will be. But I need to keep that port so that I can dock. So I'm not sure if that's the way I want to go about that. I might just put a radial port on and just stop being a wuss about it. But I might be able to use the upper stage of a Centurion rocket as our actual transfer pusher. Because if I say put 2 of these tanks, which is basically what it would be, with a poodle, calculated at vacuum, and that's making it seem like that's very low. Oh, okay, that's why. Whoop. There we go. That's 4,331 delta V pushing a capsule. So the question is, how off balance is this? It's fairly off balance. So I don't think that's what I'm going to do. What I am going to do, then at this point, is probably use the standard one of those. Let's just see what this would look like. Make sure my stream is actually going, because it is being very weird right now. Okay. And creating an echo, because it's always fun. Okay, so still like 4,000, whatever. Delta V, we'll have to put a separate port on, just so we can have a chance of docking with it. We probably need some RCS. I don't need to go too crazy with it, so I'll probably right here throw this guy on there. Probably a stabilizer as well. I'm going to need a way to control it. So what might be the smart thing to do, actually, is wipe both these out, put that back on. Now that I have the new bay, throw the new bay on. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're cooking with gas. We're going to put a hex core on, because that's the best one I have at the moment. Put a big stabilizer. Some big monoprop tanks. Put some big batteries. Okay, and then some antenna. Antennae. Alright. Put some solar panels on the outside. Actually, I might just get away with, like, nah. Lots of solar panels. So there we go. Solar panels on. It'll be able to control itself. Have a decent amount of fuel. And pushing a fully fueled Actarius capsule will have 4,100 meters per second of delta V. So a lot of delta V pushing one of these capsules. So that's... that, I think, is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push an existing capsule out to Minmus Station as part of our network. And that'll take the place of needing a separate separate pusher craft. Separate transfer vehicle, rather. Okay. This is looking much better. I could actually probably get away with not even putting a payload fairing on this. I should do. Maybe do a separator just to make it so I can do it without hijacking one of the number commands. Okay. And overall, that is, holy crap, heavy. But that's fine. Let's see how much it weighs with what we're actually going to use, which is one of these. Beautiful, 15 tons. Like on the dot when I put the port on, I bet. Look at that. That is perfect. So, if we take a Centurion medium class, bingo. And there you have it. That is our vehicle. We will get that into orbit. So I'll end up just swapping this out, making sure our weight stays the same. Should be the same weight. Each of these is 9 tons, and one of these is 18. Yep, so the same. Put that on there. Do I want to do that, or do I want to do this? Probably keep that one. Looks a little better. So there we go. Our second stage will actually be the vehicle itself. It'll get itself to Jebediah Kerman Station without much issue. And I'm just realizing with the extra... nah, we'll be okay. So, 6 boosters. Come on, get rid of that. Knock that off. So main engine, 6 boosters. We need the 2 Thud engines. Drop those. This can fire off. Then second stage, and then we are good to go. We just need a name. Might as well. actually save it, which is something I never do and then regret later every time. Because I do things like forget the RCS, like I just did. Didn't goof myself up that time. Okay. Well, I really should just put it on the belly, actually. Be easier for the craft to figure. And then we need, just like this. Alright. Now we're ready to launch. I'll actually fix that. And I didn't save it. I didn't save it after fixing it. It's not very intelligent. Alright, let's get this sucker to Jebediah Kerman Station. So I need to wait for it to come around. So a little bit of time warp. If it gets ahead of us, actually isn't that bad, so preferably going to be a little bit behind it, if anything. Alright, and off we go. Centurion carrying our modified second stage to be our new pusher vehicle. Because our nuclear transfer vehicle just didn't work out. That was a little bit crazy. So we're going to ride these boosters to about 10,000 meters here. This is right as the station's going overhead. Okay. We start our gravity turn now. Carefully so I don't pitch us over too hard. Start driving up our apogee, 45-degree angle. So that's a Reliant and 2 thuds, giving us good roll control. Slightly more thrust than the Bobcat, the cost of a little bit of weight. But lots of fuel in this stage. Keep us going. Make sure we focus on driving our apogee with the stage. The vehicle will have to get itself into orbit. Since we did take away the second stage as part of this. But this booster is simply just to get it lofted up high enough that its poodle engine can stand a chance. We're now at a safe altitude. We can drop a nose cone. That's just dead weight. Don't need it. Nice, easy way to protect that that docking port at the front. That really turned out well. Once this gets right about the 70,000 meters, we're gonna just we're gonna then shallow out to prograde. It'll give us maximum efficiency for our orbit. And there we go. That's the end of that stage. We're going to ride it up through the atmosphere. Keep aiming prograde. And we're going to figure out how long it's going to take us to get to orbit, which is probably going to be burning right away, actually, as soon as we hit space. Looking, telling us 4-minute burn time, which is wrong, of course. There we go. 1 minute, 39-second burn time. So yeah, right here is where we want to burn. You got the space. Stability assist so we can aim direct down as is appropriate. Extend our solar panels. Now we're quite a ways behind the station. I thought we were going to be a little better off than that. It's not as aggressive a launch vehicle as I thought. Just a little bit of correction. Just enough to get us to low orbit. Nice and under the station and behind, which is where we want to be. It makes it very easy to find a good rendezvous, as you can see. I want to be just a little later then. A little more. Okay. Looks pretty good. Yep, that would just be inclination difference at that point, which we can probably try and alleviate a little bit of. There's not that much inclination difference, I'm sure. You can just do enough. Yep, just enough to make the ascending node directly at that point. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Just got a little bit of radial difference. Tiny little bit. There we go. Now that's a burn. We're gonna have this set up without any issue at all. So in 1 minute we'll have a 3-second burn. That'll get us off to Jebediah Kerman Station. And we'll finally utilize that that Zenith here, this bellyport here, for our capsule craft. And that'll make it a little easier for us to transfer one of our capsules to the front of this vessel. We'll refuel when we do that as well, since we have plenty of fuel at Jebediah Kerman Station. And that'll free up our original transfer vehicle to do its thing, head off to the moon, and act as its reserve to keep everyone ready to return once they complete their science. Pretty dead on with that one. A little bit of correction. Overdid it. Yeah, that reaction wheel's pretty good. That's a good sign. Alright, pretty good intersect. We will be going relative speed of 74.7 meters per second. So I need to see how long it's going to take us to balance that out. So I'm not going to look for, again, I'm just not going to look for how much difference we're going to need in what direction, just how many seconds it's going to take to cancel out 74 meters per second. About 5-second burn. And when we do our burn, we'll be targeting retrograde to target. So we're going to warp around here. Hopefully I'll have some fun science unlocked pretty soon here as well. Should be coming up on that time. Alright, so we're now aiming to target. We're going to switch over to retrograde. We're going to drop the maneuver node right at this closest intersect point right here. Right there. We're going to have a little bit of a freeze as the game starts to render the station. The station is fairly large. Alright, so I've got 5 seconds. So about 2 seconds away from target is probably where I want to start burning retrograde target. 2.5, 3 seconds, somewhere in that range. Could eyeball it a little bit. Coming up on the station pretty fast. Gonna trust our math. Pretty good. Okay, we are now station keeping. We need to get this guy on this port down here. If I can get the station in view. On this port right here. That is going to be our target port. Could just as easily dock at the back port here as a backup, but this port was made for something like this, so we might as well use it. So we're going to cancel this maneuver. We're going to point ourselves directly at target. We're going to just glance over the top there, and then we're going to start doing some maneuvering from the perspective of that port down here on the bottom. Make it just a little easier. So for now, we're gonna have to aim just a little bit above the zenith of the station. And that's gonna allow us to have some clearance. When we go around it so we don't whip into it. Go back to aiming retrograde to target. Allow us to approach fairly rapidly. Put ourselves in position right above that port. Just dawned on me, we still have a fuel tanker out there that's supposed to be getting here as well, which would be a good way to refuel this. It's a very small fuel tanker, built off of one of these craft, actually, one of the Actarius capsules. Alright. A little bit of an alignment to do. Might actually try and line this directly up with one of the capsules, rather than with the station's traditional port and starboard. Oh, and then there's the issue. There's the issue of the day. Am I gonna break solar panels? No, actually, I should be fine. I should be fine. Really hard to tell if this is set up for a proper approach here. But, we'll figure it out. So using the docking node here, the maneuver node, with the docking maneuver points, make this just a little easier. So I can see that our prograde is on the opposite side of us from the port, which means we're going to be moving in that direction. Moving towards an alignment. So, reducing that a little bit as we get pretty close to aligned. Nice, slow approach. This is a big tanker in practice. It's really a transfer ship, but it is basically just a big thing of fuel. We do need to pitch up, I think, a tiny bit. So just keeping an eye on the solar panels. I don't want to accidentally clip any solar panels as part of this maneuver, which is looking like could be a potential issue with this design. It'll basically be very close if it's not an issue. Pitch up a little bit more. Had some last minute pitch issues there. Made for a very wobbly dock. Thankfully, I don't think I used any autostrut anywhere. It's just a very sturdy launch vehicle. So, yeah. There we go. That is the definition of tight clearance. That is from those handlebars on that bay. That is maybe a few inches clearance between that and solar panels. So it is totally valid. So even though those are non-repackable solar panels, I'm not too worried. All right. Yes, many parts here. Many parts on this station. We have, of course, the moon transfer vehicle here. This will be good to keep on station at Valentina Kerman Station. I do need to adjust this capsule now to be on the front of this port. And then that'll be our transfer for Minmus. And at least we have docking positions for both the Minmus transfer vehicle and the moon transfer vehicle at the same time. Makes me feel a little better. Now, what on earth did I do with our fuel tanker, I wonder? That would be right here. We are in very bad position to dock with the station. Might be some time warp due. So this, again, based on the Actarius capsule. This is a brewery pod. This is meant for fuel resupply up to Jebediah Kerman Station when it is needed. Taking advantage of our cheapest per ton launcher, our 9-ton launcher, the Optio. So this is officially our cheapest way to get fuel to the station. So we're gonna have to wait a while till we're in good position here. I'm gonna just kind of track the Prospector probe while we do some time warp. I might have to do that from the perspective of the Prospector, actually, because this is going to take a very long time. Since I launched this in such a horrible window, and then ignored it. Switch to the Prospector 3. Let's do some crazy time warp. 2 days worth. And then let's check out what position it's in now. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Thank you. Nope, that's... Okay, there we go. It is still quite a ways to go to be in good position. One more day of warp. It's in worse position. Oh, so okay, I'm warping too far is what's going on, I think. 2 hours? 2 hours of warp? Okay. It's catching up a little bit. Alright. Let's just see. So we want this one near here. Okay, yeah, at this speed, it's pretty decent. We've just been overshooting it repetitively. Almost there. This is a trick if you're not able to time warp as fast as you want to, by the way. Just switch to another vehicle and change your perspective. Okay, that should be where we want to be. And this still has a while before it reaches Minmus. A good while, probably. Yep, 3 days. So plenty of time. Now I need to set up a maneuver. Looks like we're a little late to the party, actually, by the time we get there. Oh no, we're ahead of it if we do that. So, yeah. Oops. Waited a little too long. I have to overshoot slightly. And then tweak that one. Gotta do this very quickly. Should be burning now. Okay, a little bit of correction. Okay. What's our relative speed going to be when we get there? 95. It's not that bad. So what we need to do... What about here? Just make some radial change here. Should put us really close. Don't want to be that close. Just a very minor radial change. Put us on a direct intercept. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Now, like I said, that gives us a 92.3 meter per second difference in speed and velocity. So what we need to see is how long it's going to take us to stop. It's going to take us about 17 seconds. Wow. Okay. 17 seconds to stop. That's at full throttle. Okay. Also, I think what I need to do with this craft to make it more efficient is, like, make these maybe eject and deorbit somehow. I don't know. Figure something out. Figure something out to make this just a little more efficient on fuel. Increase its carrying capacity. I'll get rid of those entirely and just stretch the top section. But it is already saving us a ton by using our cheapest launcher to its full potential. So, alright, let's set a maneuver node right on the dot here. We know we're going to need 17 seconds to stop. So we're going to want to be about 9 seconds away from the station when we start decelerating. Oh, we're going to get a little bit of freezing as it loads the station. I probably shouldn't have let it load the station while in time warp. I can do some nasty things to the game mechanics. And I didn't put a nice core on this. And I kind of screwed myself, didn't I? So I don't have auto-target retrograde. So I'm a little late to this burn because I have to manually aim. But that's fine. Back at the station a little bit. Alright, so we're now coasting our way in. A lot of mismaneuvers along this this particular trip. maximize our solar panel utilization there for the last of it before the sun goes down. I would like to see if I could get this a little more fuel for a little less weight. I know these tanks are the least efficient in terms of weight, but not by much. Cat's being weird. Let's accelerate slightly. We are going to be bringing a lot of fuel to the station, so I guess I shouldn't feel too bad about that. I think probably the other thing I could do is maybe use the 9-ton launcher, but not stress it to its limit and use that second stage to do the rendezvous. That could possibly do the trick. That could get that to be really cost effective for fuel. So I think it was the 9-ton Optio, not the 5-ton Optio that was the crazy efficient one. One of those is crazy efficient. Cost effective is the word I'm looking for. We're just going to accelerate a little more. Nosy, what are you doing? Hey, cat. What are you doing? Hey. Stop being weird. Knock it off. Spoiled cat wants attention. I would like to time warp, but I really hate time warping with a station in physics range. It doesn't tend to go well. Those are kind of wasting. Better. Which of these is the open port? The open port is under... Oh, there's the craft. Way out there. So it is basically about to hit that side. That's the one it needs to go to. Let's see if I can't target it. I think this is the one it's targeting. No, it's not. Okay. Beautiful. So we just need to glide past a little bit. There's our port here. Thankfully, I've got lights to help dock, because we are hitting the dark side of the planet now, the night side of Kerbin. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're going to control from this back port. So we're going to be controlling in reverse, which is always fun. Going to attempt to orient our vessel correctly for the approach. Which I'm getting pitch and yaw incorrect at the moment. I actually need a little bit of both, I think, to do what I wanted to do. Yes, there we are. Okay. So again, I'm confusing pitch and yaw. Okay, that should be roughly aligned, I think. This is a little bit imbalanced. Just trying to figure out. I think these are a little too strong. Oh, sure. Now it auto does it. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, see, it's still just a little too much. Closer to like 70%. There we go. 70%. I'll have to save that later. Our roll's all wrong. Looking pretty good for a lineup. Yep, looking pretty good. Once I got that dialed in, that actually made that much easier. Just gotta remember, those top ones need to go down to 70%. They're just a little too strong. Looking good. So, of course, because it's designed from the same chassis as the capsules, it looks very similar, and it docks very similar. It uses the same multi-craft adapter that I made here. Which makes that really quite convenient. Now, our angle is just a little wrong. I'm just going to let it kind of do its thing. There we are. Nice. Sure there's no auto strut going on. Auto strut can kill a station. Looks good though. Alright. So we can use our top section here. We can start refueling the transfer vehicle. Actually went a long way into refueling that. More than I thought, anyway. More than I expected. Still have to leave it a little bit of fuel so it could deorbit itself when it's done. Which of these tanks should be more than enough. Probably actually even put some of those in there as well. At least 2 of them. There we go. Simple like that. Not bad at all. I also get these smaller tanks, which will make it a little easier to precisely measure how much fuel I'm putting in these return capsules. Because the ones that are returning do not need anywhere near the amount of fuel that they get to the station. The intent was originally that they're supposed to be giving their excess fuel to the station in the first place. So then I don't need as many dedicated refuelers, cost effective as they may be. Okay. And this front one here, we need to refuel. Actually, well, it's completely already fueled. Okay, we're good there. So this one, we just need to move it to that front port, and then that'll be ready to be our transfer vehicle. We'll probably do that tomorrow. I think that's all I care to do with space stations for the moment. I want to overdo space stations for one day. We do have science to transmit off as well. I may come back and do that again. We're going to do that real quick. Alright. We can go and transfer off to Valentina Kerman Station real quick. Which, again, I do need to still send our crew transfer vehicle over there. Pick up these scientists when they are finally done. Right now, they still have a lot of science to research. They will be busy out here in moon orbit for quite some time. They do not have a lot of electric charge, though. What is draining their charge that fast? Is it actually the lab? Wow, their charge is going really fast. Hold on. Can we hibernate this? Does it help at all? Say yes off. Well, I guess it's the labs. Oh, we still have these as well. More hibernate. Anything I could put on hibernate, I am, but don't think that's going to be enough. For whatever reason, this station does not get a lot of sun. We're about to hit the sunrise again. I'm scared of what happens if I stop research. Does it pause it or does it remove it? Well, let's just make sure. Well, these guys are going to be floating unpowered for a little while. There we go. Recharging once more. An optimal position for gathering sunlight as well. I'm sure they were fine when they had no power to drive oxygen. I'm sure that was okay. Let's take this off hibernation. Close that. See if we can charge those batteries a little bit. This doesn't really tell you what the consumption rate is for electricity on this labs. I assume it's 5 because we're seeing that craziness. Can we add more without going over? 42. Okay. Still lots of experiments on here. I'll get away with transmitting this science, hopefully. I definitely need way more electric charge on this, don't I? Well, let's burn some time for a second. I think I've only got the 4 Kerman in the labs. Yeah. I was going to say, I could take somebody out and have them transfer some of those experiments over to this lab so we keep this lab full. So let's volunteer somebody who's in here. Aglock and Tomler. So Tomler, he looks like he's a happy camper. Oh, him getting out just introduced some roll. That's not good. So we're going to need to do this quickly. So get over on this side. This is the reserve side. Take data. Let go. RCS over. Store experiments. Let go. Fly back. Whoop. Okay. Don't bump the station and make the rotation worse. That's bad. Okay. SAS on. I have no concept of which way is up, down, left, or right on this thing. There we go. Pitching up to ideal electric gathering. There we go. Okay. Review data. Some of those are repeats. We could throw that in the lab. Okay, yeah, we at least got a little bit more in the lab. So we can possibly overdo it. Nope, we're good. Keep all the other ones. Transmit science from this one now that we have enough electricity. All right. Now, Deep Space Gateway. This gateway should always have a bunch of electricity. Yep. It's doing really good. Not really sure how it's getting so much electricity. But, zero complaints from me. Take a look at our lander, which is currently on the dark side of Minmus, so it is probably almost out of power, if not out of power. So that was maybe not a smart thing. We'll probably be waiting a while for it to come back around. It's actually doing pretty good on electric charge, even though it is mining. How much ore did we get? Actually, respect. Wow. Just not sure how to back off and get back into orbit. Might go back to yesterday's to V left when I docked, I think. I'll have to leave ourselves a little more line up even without monoprop. But okay, this is a little more practical. This is working a little better. I probably could have used smaller tanks and had this make a lot more sense, but this is barely using electric charge. Oh. Let's look at him go. Prospector probe's still a little ways away. Mosine, could you not chew on my microphone? Hey. Hey. Alright. She's getting antsy. Alright, so yeah, still a few days away. Check out the Space Center, see how much science we just brought back. It's probably going to be a little more till we unlock what I wanted to unlock. Yes, we're currently at 302 science. I need, I think, 550, so we're about halfway there. So I think our next thing is going to be very heavy rocketry. Because the Mastodon is going to be a good way to save money on the Decurion. None of this really is that tempting yet. Automation is up there. Large probes is something really cool to eventually get to. Probe control point, minimum pilots on vessel 1. Oh! That's kind of cool. So this could be like a remote probe control? That's kind of neat. Stability assist, prograde, retrograde. No altitude, maneuver hold, target tracking. Yeah, this has a lot of stuff. That looks like probably the one I want pretty soon. Ion propulsion is also something else I could look for. 4,200 engine ISP in vacuum. So far better than nuclear even. But this would just be for small satellites. Unmanned tech. Just give us some better. This has target tracking as well. So this is better guidance units. Another one with target hold. They do start getting expensive as we hit that mark, though. I think probably getting this cheap one at first is probably going to be more beneficial. Which, it only has stability assist, but for 360 credits, it's pretty nice. I like cheap. Cheap is usually what guides me for career mode. Do everything for less. This is another part contract that I don't think is going to make us very much money. And it's a 2.5 meter width as well. I don't like that. I might actually do maybe tomorrow. I could get rid of this pretty easily. I don't know why I haven't done this one yet. Just fire off a fairing while in orbit around the sun. But as I was saying, one of these, there we go. Launch a vector. Oh, there's an idea for us. For a small transfer vehicle. If we gotta already do a suborbital trajectory over the moon, high altitude, we could recover. How efficient is that engine? It's modeled after the shuttle engine, so it should be realistically very efficient. Not like Russian efficient, but efficient. 315 vacuum? Aww. Aww. That's kind of lame. Otherwise, this would be a very good transfer vehicle engine. As expensive as it is, 18,000 credits for one. I'll have to make something to use it. So, let's just see. Let's just review my launchers. We can officially say that this worked as well as intended. Just reduce this down to the 2 launch towers that it's supposed to have. Get rid of the old version. So let's just kind of review here. I'm willing to bet then the Armakustos can just go. I don't need that anymore. Because the boosted version of this is same basic design, only needs to get 7 tons to orbit. This was getting a little over 3. With a two booster setup on a light payload. The math already backed it up. It already shows that I did the math correctly on both these. So I'm gonna get rid of the Armakustos. Don't need it. It's less efficient. So let's see. I just want to check what our values are for each of these, right? Towers, when you launch, obviously you just recover those from the pad. So you're getting your values worth out of those. So this is 6,290 credits to get 3 tons to orbit. So I'm going to do some math out and just so I can rate them and use them a little more efficiently later. So this one is going to be the least efficient because it is naturally the lightest. So the over doesn't get spread across very many tons. So we're going to do the same thing again of renaming. The Canis 1, emit 3-ton launcher to LKO for the description. And then we want to put so funds per ton 2,096. If we round up, it's I'm not even going to round up. Just use the decimal. So, that is... I'm very confident in that fact. So the Optio, which by the way, that should have the truss mount, is barely more expensive. Just for 5. We're going to drop this in and rename it. So, 1. Still going to do the description. 5-ton launcher to LKO. Use my brain there for a second. 1473 funds per ton. And actually overrode it that time. That's kind of cool. Alright. Sagittari. This might get deleted very shortly. 8,710. 3 tons to Moon. Yet, because we're going to go on to something else, I'm sure. So the Decanus 7 ton. It's actually still a Decanus 1. I don't know why I call it Decanus 7. But the Decanus 7 ton. I'm going to just go ahead and assume this is going to be fine. So this one would actually be pretty good. Put those towers back on. Do the whole naming thing again. So that's the Decanus 1 Heavy. And that would be 1412 86 funds per ton. A moment. Okay. Doesn't put the slash in here, so it just looks dumb. That's very considerate of it. Alright, let's keep breaking this down. It's a good, lame, boring way to close out the stream. This should be the most efficient, if I remember right. The Optio Heavy. So the Optio Heavy is a 9-ton launcher. We have tested this one. It's only 11,125 credits divided by 9. Yeah. Like knocks it out of the... So Optio 1 Heavy. Hope if I type everything correctly. So again, 12, 36, 11 funds per ton. So yeah, definitely our most cost effective. With the Centurion. So now the Centurion 1, the basic Centurion 1, is for 12 tons. Not the greatest launcher. Calculated it with the towers on, though. Not that that makes a huge difference in this one's case. Oh, why did I do that? Try it again. Centurion 1. This one goes up to 15, 14, 17 funds per ton. So yep, big gap there. So anything I can squeeze down to 9 tons is definitely beneficial from 12. On our 15-ton launcher, 2213. So that's the Centurion medium. That's with 2 extra boosters. By 15 tons, 1487. This gets it a little closer to where it belongs. This would be 1487, 54 funds per ton. Centurion Heavy. So this is with double the amount of boosters instead of just the extra 2. Nice, clean, even 26K. And that, of course, is being divided by 18 tons. This actually is the more competitive of the Centurions in price. And then the Decurion. This guy is actually probably going to end up being the Decurion medium. I have not tried launching it on its own yet, so I might just rename that appropriately. I think a regular Decurion could probably get close to 21 tons up into orbit. But we're going to be changing that around anyway once we get the Mastodon. We'll be changing out this main engine. But for now, it's got the very expensive main engine, which is hurting it. This does get 24 tons to orbit, which makes it the second most cost-effective. Nope, can't do that. So 2 it is. I will mark it as the medium. I'll find out later what I could do with just a single tank. Get rid of this one. Because realistically, if I dropped all these boosters off, right? And say this got me 21 tons to orbit. This would be the cheapest launcher per ton. But, I mean, I don't think that's realistic, maybe. I think I might have to at least put 2 boosters on it to get 21 tons. Might be closer to 19 tons without. But even then, 28,690 divided by 21. So it'd still be very competitive, 1366. It'd actually be less competitive than the larger one. which does follow the pattern here. It does get cheaper as you get to heavier with each class. The Optio 1 is cheaper than the launchers, really, per ton, and then than anything else by a good margin. The Canis does pretty well. But yeah, that gives me now a little easier idea to see how I can save money. I recommend anyone else that's reusing same rockets over and over again does the same. Hi, Mosine. I recommend that anyone else do the same. This way you can really see, okay, yes, I know what my rocket's capable of, and I know if I get my payload, say in this case, if I want to actually use a 5-ton or 7-ton payload, doesn't really matter. It's going to cost the same per ton. So I could just use whatever is going to be efficient. But then if I, say with those refueler vehicles, if I could get up to 9 tons of fuel and just add more fuel, then I get a savings per ton to orbit. Which again is why our brewery is designed to be used. Of course I didn't save the other one. This is the brewery. So this is designed to be used as a 9-ton launch, although this doesn't have the extra fuel capacity. So I'm going to mess with this one for a second. We want to add almost 2 tons to this vehicle. Use the most cost-effective launcher. Maybe 1.2. Stretch this main tank. Wait. Still put some of those on. That puts us overweight. If we can make a cheap fairing, well, let's do this. How can I make this a little bit cheaper? Well, how much does that weigh? They weigh the same? They do. Okay. Put the hex core in there. Put the 4 monoprop, 4 batteries. Shrink those monoprop in. I actually made that more expensive. Worth it. Is there anything else we would need to bring up? It's not. There it is. Okay, so this would put us overweight. Okay. Of course, we need to go wide here. Yeah. Looks a little goofy. Opposed to just going to the very top, which does how much? A little overweight. Just slightly. Well within the limits, I think. Yeah, okay. Save it. Brewery. Rock repellent. Change that RCS limit. We'll have that as the cheapest way to get fuel to the station per ton. So, this vessel in with. That's why I keep reusing it. Very cheap antenna, cheap engines. A lot of stuff is cheap. Okay, I think I'm done boring myself and everyone else. I think that's it for the night. So, with that being said, if you want to catch all of our older stuff, you can do so at the link down at the bottom of the screen, youtube.com/dudeicalledyou, where we load up all our previous streams. We're typically up to date. I've been lazy lately, so some of those haven't, but you know, it happens. They're eventually on there. If you want to catch our new streams, you can keep up with us almost every single night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And nothing else to say, but